Okay guys, August 11th, 6 a.m. in the morning. Time to do a early morning inspection, walk through. Gonna do a little bit of watering. I'm gonna go over there and show you what I've got brewing up in the tank. And yeah, everybody's looking good. We've moved the plants around a little bit, reorganized just to make it easier for demonstration and ease of access. I'm also preparing, I'm most likely going to build an automatic watering system, so to have them in rows is much more effective to run my zones. So one of the things you're going to realize when you're growing, when you get into the flower state, they drink faster. And when they drink faster, that means your substrate's going to dry out faster. You want to try to keep that substrate, moist, maybe around, 50 to 60% moisture. If you get excessive drybacks and the stresses, sometimes can be a challenge. But some stresses when you're crop steering are beneficial, but that's a different subject matter for an indoor grow. We'll talk about that later in the season. But things are looking good. We're in pre-flowers. You can see the structures now. As I'm reading the plants, this is the one thing you'll do in the morning, is get a read. You see a lot of yellowing leaves, so that means that this plant is growing excessively fast and there's not enough food. That's the other thing. Some of them you can read them and they look fine, no problem. But they're all different genetics and they grow at different rates in some cases. This one is really taking off. So the early read for me, when I go and I look at the translocation, that's translocation. Basically it's taking the stored energy, the chlorophyll, and it's saying, hey, I need some more energy because there's not enough down at the root zone. So I'm just going to take some from where it's stored. So that's a little bit early on the yellowing. I mean, that would happen a little bit later, but that's telling me that I need to ramp up a little bit more on the food side for this thing. So that's an early read on this one, but you can see the structure's looking good. All the manipulations we did, where we did the pinching, we got the additional tops, the splits, push outs, the nodes are growing outward, which is awesome. That's what I want. This one has a really nice structure for, similar to a strong sativa leaner, and it's spread out nice. We did the LST, the low stress training, pushing all these sides outward, and each manipulation spot worked out really well. As you can see, there's the little nub where we pinched it. That one little tiny manipulation on this particular plant gave a really nice split up of all the tops. So multiple tops, lateral growth pushing out, very nice. The ones that we didn't manipulate on this are going to grow straight upward, just like this. Now the challenge is these are going to fill in, and this bud's probably going to end up somewhere another 6 inches, maybe 8 inches, but it's going to get thick. That's always a concern for me in outdoor growing in New England because of the moisture factor. When we get into September, you'll see it's going to be wet out here. So it'll be warm in the day, cold at night, and we're going to have a lot of dew, especially on the grass, and then you also have dew build up in your plants. So there's a strong possibility I may invest in a couple of fans and have those fans running, pushing air through these plants. We'll see how it goes, but that could be a solution. Even though I can come out here with a leaf blower in the morning and blow them off, that's just going to eat up a lot of time. So if I have a constant airflow, I think that would be definitely beneficial. All right, so this one's looking good. It's got good stretch. It needs more food. So she's saying, I'm a little bit more hungry than my neighbor. Though my neighbor's saying, I could use a little bit too, a couple of yellowing leaves in there. But this one, I did a little manipulation last night. This was one, if you look from the previous videos, and also I always clarify this up front because I get it in the subscriber comments. They're not in the earth for a reason. These are not my plants. These plants found me. This group here found me first. This group in here found me second. And then this group down over here found me third. Okay? There's someone else's plants. Someone else started them. Someone else chose the genetics. I didn't. So I'm going to deal with what I have been dealt. I was willing to commit to service these plants for the benefit at the end where it'll service me and the original growers at the same time. But that being said, I have to play with these plants. I have to think forward. What am I going to deal with in the wet season? How are they going to come out? So these manipulation and these structures, the first grower over here is a first year. So his manipulation was, in my opinion, a little excessive, but it is what it is. I'm going to work with it. On an indoor grow, you can get away with that because you're controlling the atmosphere. On the outdoor grow, sometimes when you over manipulate, you have way too much bushiness and not enough airflow. Sometimes that can be a detriment, and sometimes it can be a benefit, but you don't know. Here's the other thing about genetics. You know, I've had plants like, let's take the Mac 1. It was caps cut. It was gifted to me by a very experienced grower, and he said, hey, the deal with this, Cap said it's a cut only and it's to be gifted to the worthy. And I was like, wow, I guess I'm worthy. Wow, appreciate that. I don't know if I was worthy, but I was gifted it and I worked it, and many times I just said, it's not performing, and get rid of it. But it is a very difficult plant if you don't understand her. And I didn't quit. And I spent 2 years trying to figure it out. And I was this close to saying, you're out of my grow. It's not yielding, it's not performing, it's stalling. So it's a very finicky plant if you do certain manipulations too early, or if you feed it a certain regimen, it doesn't like it, it slows down. It responds different in soil than it does in hydro. Totally different plants. But the point is, sometimes if you really like the end product, but you don't like the struggles along the way, you want to learn to read the plant if you decide to keep it. So you learn, does it need more food, less food? Doesn't like to be topped too many times? What's the structure naturally look like? How much space is it going to take up in my grow room? That's the other factor. When you're indoors, you're limited by space and energy because it costs you energy to run a certain amount of space. So each plant has to have a certain performance and outcome for you to spend the time on it. But back to this one. This was this branch right here that's now turned over was way up here. And I made a decision, you know, I said to myself, that would have been cool to see this big giant bud. However, I could see how dense it was gonna get. You can see the flowers are really starting to push up. Now what's happening since last night, all these internodes are curling upward, which is exactly what I wanted. You can see the end curling already, and that's just in a few hours. That was done probably around 6 o'clock last night. Now it's 6 a.m., 12 hours later. They're already starting to turn up. The nodes will go up, and that was kind of my goal, is to maximize the yield. These nodes will go upward too. I didn't want them to be all packed into one big bud. I want them to push upward. So that may help me with the potential of future mold, because when I look at these, some of them I go, oh man, you're gonna look beautiful. But when I start to peel it apart and I find bud rot, I'm gonna be really bummed out. So I'm just trying to think ahead in strategy. All right, so let's start off by looking at a couple of things. When we look at the manipulation on the structures, like this one was really manipulated quite aggressively, and which pushes out a lot of branches, but also creates other problems. So here's some of the problems, and I'm gonna have to address it. Now I've addressed it by putting stakes and holding them up, which is another way, but in these joints like this, these are break points. This is where you can have problems later on when you get a lot of weight on there. So later in the seasons when the buds form. So it's either one of two things. You either tie off inside here, or you tie off using stakes. So these big ones are all tied off to the stake, so that'll prevent that. I'll show you another one over here in the same grouping. Again, I've done a lot of tie-offs here to protect them, because these are break points. These are like, I call them the wishbone effect. If you don't tie off, you're gonna have a lot of breakage. So you have to tie off either to the stake or in between to keep them from breaking later when they get weight on them, like this one here. That's a classic case of where it's gonna break on you. And we did a lot of LST to push this out, but this plant wants to grow up straight. So it makes it a little bit more of a challenge. So I may have to open this up some more, because you can see it's getting very dense and thick in there. And as the flowers form, it becomes more of a challenge. Airflow is your friend, my friend. Hey, look at that, I'm a poet, don't even know it. But look, sure they don't even show it. But you need airflow. You need these things dancing. So that's the key. Also, when you're looking at your property, look where the prevailing winds are. If you're always having a breeze coming across here, well, you know how to set your rows up. If it's always coming this way, again, you know how to set your rows up. Look at your sun pattern. Which direction is it going? Again, this comes back to me setting up this property. I just moved here just over, it's about 6 weeks now. So I get the comments, just go in the earth. I know, I get it. I'd love to do that. But I need to be able to move these around. I need to be able to find a lot of things. I also don't know the contamination in the soil, if there is any. May not be, but this was an old farmhouse. So that means, like, there used to be a big giant barn there. You can see the old foundation. And so I don't want to find out this was a dumping ground where they dumped all their trash, you know, heavy metals and all sorts of crap. So I would send out to have a soil sample done at a university, and they would tell me what's deficient in the soil and if there's any contamination. So I got to be careful. Cannabis, hemp plants, they're bioaccumulating plants. That means their roots clean the soil. They leach everything up inside, all the heavy metals. That's why in your licensed commercial operations, they have to test for heavy metals and contaminants and molds and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not going to just stick them in willy-nilly into the ground because I can, because I have ground. I want to set it up. I also want to do is be able to set up a garden here at some point. I'm not sure if I'll put a greenhouse over here or a garden. I love to do veggies as well. All right, back to the subject matter of cannabis. This one you can see, this is Larry's Cherry Gelato, LCG. So this one, you can see the structures. These are going to become big, long buds, and then these will plump out. They look interesting. There's going to be a whole bunch of them, but got to keep that airflow. In some cases, you got to get in here and thin it out, because when you get real dense down in here, you don't get a lot of airflow, but you get in larvae little buds, and you also end up with potential molds in the intersections here. So we'll address this later on in a few weeks. We may have to get in and thin a little bit more and look at that structure. So this was from the first grower. Got excited about manipulation, but that's okay. This is all part of the learning process. You can see I did some tie-offs on this one because I'm concerned about breakage right in here. And then again, the other ones were done with stakes. This one here, this group here came from a mother project for clones. So the structures are going to be strange because the mother plants are topped differently. And you can see we pulled a lot of clones off of a lot of these plants. So this is the remaining plant structure that was left. And so I'm just going to work with it, you know, so it's just like, it's not a traditional manipulation you would do. It's more for a lot of tops for clone production. But they're here and they're going to hang out, and we got a lot of different genetics. Like this one right here is I-95. Let's see what this one is right here. FLC, that's Franco's Lemon Cheese. Franco's Lemon Cheese, FLC. So that's Franco's Lemon Cheese. Again, you can't see the full potential of this plant because of how it was trimmed and manipulated in the beginning. This one here is S-Cough. So this is Strawberry Cough. Strawberry Cough. It looked like it needed a lot more food. It was struggling early on, but it seems to be turning around nicely. This is where I look up at the tops. This is now time. Everything's looking happy here. I had to increase a little bit of food for her. This one here, what do we got? What do we got here, Joe baby? Let's see what we got. This is True OG. True OG. Interesting. This is the one that we just did the bend over on. See how that comes out. You can see they're all starting to turn up, like I said. This one's kind of struggling. FLC, this is a Franco's Lemon Cheese as well. Now this group here, in the Roots Original bags, these came from Ed Groen. Now, he's a pro. He understands how to do it, and he knows these genetics. These genetics are really nice, by the way, and the manipulations are spot on. The way he manipulates when they're little tiny plants. I got these in little 4x4 cups. They were struggling. They started out being fed salts. They were being fed Athena, and now I've transitioned them into organics, and they seem to be adapting nicely, nice and happy. But let's take a look at some of these structures, because I think the way they did it. Now, some plants will grow differently. They grow upward, some grow outward, but the manipulation is spot on. So Ed does a fimming technique, and the fimming you can see was done early on right there, and it split this to two main stems, and then because it was a lower branch, this was left, so this grows up as a third main stem. So these are, I think stems are like highways. They're pipelines for nutrition to come up. This one here is black ice. Now black ice is Mac 1 crossed with Oreos. And I gotta tell you, it's already producing resin. This is crazy. Let me see if I can find a spot where I can zoom in for you guys to see this. But you can already start to see look at that, the resin production is beginning. The glandular trichomes are forming on the leaf surfaces. I mean, we're only week 1 into flower. Let's take a look at this one right here. See it? There it is right there. Not sure if I'm on the right leaf here. Oh, it's this one right there. Watch this. Look at that. Resins are already starting to form. That's pretty impressive. Oh, here's one. Here's a better example right in here. Let me get you guys in there. See that? Look at that. Now that is telling me, holy shit, this is going to be a frosty one. It's already begun. Exciting. So I look at that structure. Great job, Ed. Same over here. His team, they get it. They understand, right? So you can see the fem manipulation where you got the 3 tops. That's a perfect femming. Fem stands for fuck, I missed. It's an old coined term that back in the early days probably originated out of Humboldt County or somewhere like that. You know, they femmed it. Fuck, I missed. And by femming it, they discovered that by doing it just a specific way, you increase the tops that you're going to get and the main branching. So this is perfect. So they just manipulate it once or twice and that's it, and just let structure do its work from there. And when you look down on it, you can see a lot of nice tops. So again, for footprint, you have to be able to say, I got to get a certain yield out of this for it to make sense for the cost of energy. Animal face is that one. The next one over is Dog Walker OG. And again, this one is kind of a strange structure. A lot of side branching, small down the beginning. And I think the manipulation didn't take place till much higher up, right in this section, right in here. So you can see that was done later. So that might have been purposely done because of the way the plant grows. I don't know. I'll ask about it. But this one also was the one that I had a caterpillar. I left the damage right here. We discovered a caterpillar right in the center and chowing away on that nice fresh growth. And I sprayed BT, Bacillus thuringiensis subspecies. It's a bacteria that gets in their gut and kills them. Well, that sucker's gone, but this is the little bit of damage that it left behind. So I caught it just in time. It was chowing away. And bye-bye, see ya. I'm gonna apply probably one more spray this week. I just sprayed, not yesterday, the day before, I sprayed Lost Coast Plant Therapy. Tonight I'll do the last spray of the Lost Coast Plant Therapy, then I'll transition over to a citrus-based product. Moving on to the next one. This one has a really nice look to it as well. Let's see, what do we got here? What are we growing here, Joe baby? This is animal face. All right, so another animal face. And again, you can see that manipulation right there. It's got the 3 main branches starting off, and this one, oh, he split it again right here. There's a topping right there for femming. So again, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 cycles of running a genetic to find out how its best response is when you're topping or manipulating it, and then also feeding it. And then what will it give you for yield? So this one here, right away, these are all tops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 on the main section, then you'll have smaller ones coming up from their inner nodes. So that one's looking really nice. Good job there. Now that one, I actually transplanted it into the Lush soil. This is their super soil. So Aurora Innovations is the company that makes the Roots Organic product line for soils and also liquid nutrients. But they have a super soil called Lush, if you're not familiar with it. When this first hit the market, I'm like, all right, I'll give it a try, see how it does, and boy, does it perform. It's got lots of perlite in it. It drains beautiful, fluffy, aeration's excellent, but it's loaded with nutrition. So that's about an 6 to 8 week soil, I call it. that means you don't have to do anything but water it. Now in flower cycle, you'd want to add a little bit more phosphorus and potassium, which I've already added in some top dressing for that. But I'm not going to do much for feeding this other than what's already there, because I just transplanted it a few days ago and it absolutely loves it. You know, when you see the top section, it's just vibrant green. It's happy, tacoing. The serrated edges are looking happy. It just says, all right, you're doing a good job there. You've either fixed the problem, because the past will be down here, the now time is right here. So when you make your course corrections on your plants, you can read it right at the top. So the theme here is reading your plants. You got to do a walkthrough once or twice a day. I do it twice a day, and I get to know almost each and every plant. I spend a little time. I look at the bud structure. I look for problem areas. I look for bugs. Like the other day on one of these plants I saw, I don't know if it might have been this one or the one next to it, I found small aphids beginning to congregate, and I got rid of those right away. But what I do is I roll the leaf between your fingers, just roll it, and look underneath and check for signs of bugs. And as time progresses for you new growers, if you stick with the craft and you go through the experience, some of the stuff I can tell you about it, but you just have to experience it. And you start to see damages at the leaf surface, whether it's from spider mites. They leave a pock mark. They leave a mark because they're chewing on they're biting into the veins underneath the leaf. So when you flip a leaf over, you got your main veins right down, and then you got your secondary veins coming off. Those all have xylem in it, and the mites like to eat that. The thrips like to get under there and suck that juice, and they leave certain trail marks. The marks on top, you go, oh, that's mites. Oh, that's thrips. Then you'll find bugs underneath there like whiteflies here in New England. So you want to pay attention to that. So again, the theme is learn to read your plants, but sometimes it takes a little while, and sometimes it takes several cycles for certain genetics for you to read them, if you decide to keep them. The good news is you have options, and you have selection, and you have access to whether it's clones or seeds. The problem with the seeds is by the end of this year, they suspect that the new laws kicking in are going to cause some problems for the seed producers, and a lot of it's going to shift to clones. So stay tuned for that. We'll be launching city-grown clones, so I'm working on that whole structure that build out the genetic access and libraries, and then also the companies I'm going to partner with for that particular project. Here's another one here. This one is Hippie Crasher. Now this one was not manipulated, which is great for you guys to be able to see it. You just see the branch nodes. All right, so when you look at if they were opposing side by side, that would be seed. Clone is offset, so you know it's a clone. But this one had no manipulation because it came to me very young, and it hadn't been processed because it was being eliminated from the group because there was too many. So there's no manipulation on this, so it's going to go au naturel without any additional manipulation. So you'll see offside branching and stuff like that, not like this where you're going to have some definitive tops. This will be the main top right here. You'll have a secondary top from the, some of the nodes that have come up. But if that was manipulated much earlier, you'd increase the potential outcome, potential yield. But I am seeing some deficiencies. I'm going to have to take a good look at this and find out why. I'm going to find out if I have any issues at the root zone. But I'm looking at the new growth here is looking good. I did do some manipulations in the sense of, not manipulations, I should restate that. It's more of so adding some more microbes in, hopefully get some things going on in the root zone. I put some super janitor, mix that in the water, and that way I know that I'm getting the workers down there cleaning up that root zone. So this is obviously some sort of a deficiency. I'm not exactly sure. I'll have to do a little research to find out what that look is when these little, it's not a calcium issue because normally it'll show up, but it has some similarities of a CalMag, but I think it might be something else. Or it could be when I did some sprays that the plant just didn't like. I don't know. That's the other part you'll find out if I apply a spray and the plant has problems and it's pissed off at you, you'll know it. All right, moving right along, let's go over here and take a look before we wrap up this video. This is the workstation. This is where I do some of the mad science work and mixings and stuff like that. So last night I filled up the rain barrel here, right? And we'll look at that nice foamy top. You know, I'm going to tell you about that and what that means. This is a really good thing, and I love to see that. All right, so I filled it up. That's 30 gallons, and when I filled it up with the hose end filter, it's a little cooler. It was, I think, 68 degrees. Right now, it's probably whatever the ambient temperature is. And here's what I did. I filled it up with water, and then I put in the recommended dosing of the SI28. This is silic acid. So it's a monosylic acid with an iron complex. That's from Dr. Lynn's company called Cleantech. So I added that first. You always add your silicas first to your water because silica doesn't like to play with the other kids in the sandbox. All right? They want to go in first. Always first with your silicas. All right? You'll find out when you forget and you put it in secondary, it's just a white cloud that separates. It falls out of solution, basically, is what happens. Then what I did was I added in the Mendocino honey. All right, because I'm going to be adding in the P31, which I already did. I added the P31 recommended dosing. All right. And the reason I did that last night is I had the silica in the water for helping with plant stress and strength of the cellular structure. I added in the Mendocino, basically it's molasses. So I added this molasses in there because I wanted a sugar source. So when I added in this phosphate solubilizing bacteria that Dr. Lynn has created, I wanted to have a food source for those so that they could multiply. And they are multiplying. That's what this foam is from. They are working it, baby. So I've taken the amount that I put in here and I said, well, I'm going to brew up a big batch of it and let it run overnight so that the colonies continue to expand because they had a food source. Before I put the P31 in, here's a tip for you guys that are using any type of liquid bacterias or microbes. Do your pH adjustment first. That way you maintain, once you put that microbe in there, it's at a specific pH. You don't want to have massive spikes and change of pH. It affects your colonies. So add what you're going to add, adjust your pH, and the very last thing you're going to do is add your microbes last. Okay, that's just all I'm saying. But since we did that, we have a nice little batch. Let's take a look with our trusty pH pen. This is by Blue Labs. And let's see what our pH is looking like right now and our temperatures. Okay, let's get a look in there for you guys. 71 degrees, 6.5, 6.4. Sometimes if you wiggle your device here, like your pH pen, it'll pick up the reading a little faster. Oh, look it. We're at 72 degrees, which is the ambient temperature, at 6.3. That's awesome. That is like bullseye, baby, bullseye. That's perfect. You'll notice though when you add molasses, it definitely lowers your pH, so be aware of that. You can either adjust it up or down with your pH adjusters, but that's perfect. So now that's ready to get watered in. This other pen right here, this is a TDS or EC meter or both. TDS stands for total dissolved solids, and also EC stands for electrical conductivity. So if you are feeding your plants a salt diet, you can measure the EC with this. Some people prefer the TDS scales. There's two different scales. There's a 500 scale and a 700 scale. And I use it mainly in the EC setting myself, but I can do a TDS. Easy to change that. So let's take a look, see what we got here. It's 0.8. And let's see what the temperature shows with this device. Okay, 70.4, and it's a 0.8. So it's very, very low on the actual amount of salt that's in that water, and it's like minuscule. All right, so it's clean basically because the hose end filters cleaning out a lot of the sediment and stuff like that that's in your waters, your town water, that is. All right, so just a quick recap. We're about to water that into the plants this morning. The sun is just starting to peek over the trees in the horizon here. Oh yeah, they're about to wake up. And these ladies are gonna go, oh yeah, baby. And this, I found that seems to be the best area of this property so far for the afternoon sun. So the morning sun is blocked a little bit by that giant tree there. It's massive, and the root system is just as big as that, going down underneath there. And it's over by the septic system. And I would guess that the reason that is so healthy and so large, it's over the septic system. It's got a factory that it can tap into. It's like the sequoia trees up in the northwest sector of the United States. They say that they got so big because of the salmon runs that used to go up there and all the fish that would die off. But I don't know, I wasn't there, but that's the rumor. But anyways, this seems to be the best spot for a good long afternoon sun. So just over, that sun will come over probably around 7 o'clock, another hour or so. It'll start to really hit the plants and wake them up. And then they'll start turning towards the sun. And then they'll follow the sun during the day. All right, so quick recap. Learn to read your plants, read the leaf signs, manipulations. You'll practice that over time, you'll get the hang of it. Thinning, lollipopping, cleaning up the lower growth. You see a lot of those have no branching and no leaves down the bottom. I want airflow because I want to focus on where the real production of flower is up top. If I was doing a seed production, it would be a little different. I'd want every little nug that I could because it's going to get pollinated. I'm going to harvest seeds to try to hunt for something unique and different. We'll do that in the wintertime inside. We're going to do some breeding and some crossbreeding and some reversals. You guys are going to learn a lot this season. At the end of this season, and not too long off, I'm going to show you how to take some of your flour and turn it into extracts like coconut butters, fecal oils, how to do an ethanol extraction, how to make the butters, how to make your own edibles, how to make gummies, all those different things from this product, because it's not only smoke, it can be made as edibles too, or strong concentrates for sick people. So it's a miraculous plant. Oh, look at that. The sun is just starting to hit me in the face and I feel good. Like I knew I would. All right, guys, I got to get going. I got some work to do. I got some nice microbes to put into the substrate here because we're in pre-flower week 1. And these plants are going to be looking for a lot more phosphorus right now for those flower sites. And so if I can add that P31 bacteria, which is solubilizing bacteria for phosphorus, oh yeah, baby, we're all about it. All right, guys, got to go. And as always, I hope those resins bless your bowl today. Peace, happiness, and don't forget, sharing is truly caring. See ya.